Hey guys, this is Lucy. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today's video is going to be a little different. I'm going to be showing you how I do makeovers on my client, but with this one in particular, I'm going to be showing you as a makeup artist how you can correct your mistakes. Because I had made quite a few mistakes in this, but because of my skills and my confidence as a makeup artist, I know that there are ways you can fix things. So just to start, I sprayed her face with Fix Plus, and now I'm applying primer and moisturizer to her face, and I'm just growing her brows. I should have definitely cut her brows, but I think I didn't have any razor on hand, so I left it as is. And this is where I made my first mistake. My first mistake was applying the wrong shade of foundation. I had completely underestimated how tan she was and applied the wrong shade color. But I didn't take it off because I knew I can fix it. I knew there are ways you can correct the wrong shade foundation, and I'll be showing you guys later on in this video how you can do that. So I went ahead and I continued to blend out the foundation using a beauty blender, using the brush just to make sure it's even all over her skin. She has very beautiful skin tone. And this is the next mistake I made. I went a little too heavy on the concealer. I was using the NARS creamy concealer. I think this is in caramel. Like I said, I completely underestimated her skin tone, but I must have known where I was going with this. The foundation I used was the NARS, and I used it in Caracas. She should have been probably a shade or two darker. But I went ahead and I blended out the concealer. So this is when I realized I had to do a bit of contouring. I used a darker shade to contour just to bring down and kind of balance out the light foundation and the concealer. So I just blended out. I think this was Black Opal foundation stick in Carob. So I used that color to sculpt out her face, sculpt out the cheekbones, the forehead, the nose, the jawline, just to bring back the definition to her face. And of course I blended that out with my Real Techniques blending sponge. So the key is to at least make sure everything is well blended. As you can see, the color is starting to match. But definitely, had I had a chance to do her makeup again, I would definitely go lighter on all of the foundation and concealer I used. I went a little too heavy on that. So that's another mistake that I made. So I went ahead and I began to set the under eye. I used Ben 9 translucent powder under her eye. Now it is looking a bit powdery, it's looking a bit thick and cakey, but that's okay because you're going to see in a few that I drenched her. Actually, no, I'm bronzing. Right now, I'm using the Fenty Beauty bronzer. I think this was in Coconutty to help to set the contour and to also help to bronze and bring down the color on her foundation. So I'm just going to go ahead and set everywhere that I contoured. Okay, so I began working on her brows. Like I said, I should have probably groomed her brows, cut her brows a bit, but I think I did not have any razors at that time. So I tried to just fill them in and use concealer to try to shape them. It worked for the bottom part, but I didn't do the top part. But overall, I think it all came together nicely. So this is where I did the brows. As you can see, the brows cleaned up pretty well. The top could have been a little bit neater. So this is another thing that you can do if you feel like you've put too much powder on the person's skin. Use your setting spray. This is the Morphe setting spray that I'm using. So I make sure to drench her face in that, and that's going to help to kind of settle down the powder. Now, what I shouldn't have done was to touch it with a beauty blender. You can see where the product started to move around on her face, and I realized I made a mistake with that. I should have left it dry. So when you spray your setting spray, make sure to let it dry before you touch the face. But I'm going to fix that later on. I'm just going to leave that and go on to the eyes. I used the primer. This was the P. Louise base I used for her eyes. So I'm just going to begin to work on the eyes. Now the eyes I'm very proud of because I definitely used a lot of tricks that I had learned over the last few months of practicing eyeshadows So I've learned if you want it to be you want it to really stand out, start off with your dark, almost like your darkest shade first. I start off with a dark brown, and I made sure to pat that into the base. Now it was, because the base was a bit wet, the shadows were kind of getting patchy, but all you have to do is just make sure to pack the shadows back on top of that to blend it out. So that's the first brown shade that I used, and then I went in with more of a caramel brown shade to blend it out, blend out the edges, and just to kind of use that as a transitional shade. So I went in and continued blending with that. I'm just making sure that it's blended to my liking. And then I used more of a pointed brush, and I added a dark black shadow into the corners. Now this is where I'm adding the lid color. Now the palette that I'm using, the eyeshadow palette using here, was the Juvia's Place palette, the natural color one. I'm gonna put everything that I use on her in the description box below. So I'm just making sure to really heavily apply this eyeshadow because I want her eyes to really stand out. As you can see, I'm creating a gradient effect. I added a lighter gold shade and then the darker gold shade. Now you can see the shadow on the right eye where I had to just go back in with that dark brown to add more. So it's okay when you're doing eyeshadow. If you have to keep going back in with some colors, that's totally fine. You just have to make sure like to really get them to show. You just keep going back over them just to make them more pigmented. So I've already done the eyeshadows. I'm just gonna line our eyes and continue the rest of the makeover. Apply lashes, mascara. I think I did the eyeliner pretty good, so nothing to correct there. So now I'm just brushing off. Oh, I also had some translucent powder under her eye just to collect any fallout, and that did leave under her eye powdery. So I'm just gonna go in and dust it off. And I'm also gonna I did add some face powders just to try to blend out the under eye, blend out her whole face, just to make sure everything is not too light and it's kind of cohesive. I used the Sephora Micro Smoothing Powders to correct her face colors. So this is where I added the lashes. Lashes always kind of bring looks together. This is my favorite part because to me, like, if your makeup look is just going wrong, just add lashes on top of it. So I'm going back in and I'm making sure to really bronze her. I think I went in with I did the Mocha Mommy Fenty bronzer to really just kind of deepen her tan. Now, as for the lashes, I did probably put a little too much glue, so they were sticking together, but I'm going to show you a trick how to fix that. And her highlighter was kind of patchy on one side, but I did go back in and I did fix that. See, the key is when you're doing makeup as a makeup artist, you have to keep an eye for things that probably like doesn't look good. You just got to keep an eye for what you apply, and you have to remember to correct them. Not all makeovers are going to be perfect, so it's just once you learn tricks on how to fix them, you'll be fine. So I'm just going in and I'm blending out under her eye just to make it a bit smokier, just to make the eyeshadow more intense. I did the brown first and then just a blend of the eyeliner, and then going back in with a black mascara. Now, if you can look closely on this eye, some of the shadows were in the eyelash. I made sure to put my finger down and kind of help to blend those lashes together to really take out that lightness that was on her lashes. So my favorite part is lips. Lips were pretty straightforward. I just lined her lips with my Cork lip liner and then added a lip color and a lip gloss. The lips Our lips are the easiest for me because it's really not that hard to do lips. Like, it's really hard to mess up lips. So I didn't have to correct anything with that. But overall, I liked how I was able to salvage the makeup and fix all of the mistakes that I made. I feel like that's the key to becoming a great makeup artist. It's just learning to think on your feet and not to panic whenever you make a mistake, whenever you do something wrong. Just be confident and you just go in and you just correct as you need to. I think overall I did a pretty good job on this makeover. I think the next time I ever do her makeup, because her skin is so pretty, I probably wouldn't use as much, but the overall look did come out great, and this look was actually for our photo shoot. So you're gonna see, this is the finished look. This is how everything came together. You're gonna see at the end how her photo shoot makeup look. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys like this. If you do want to see more client work, I'll be glad to record them and post them on here for you guys. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.